I'm Lauren, the insider, and I am joined tonight by a firm favorite of the channel, Monique Lassan, who is a phenomenal, world-renowned private investigator, and she is also an author. Monique, thank you for joining us. This is your second time on the channel, and last time it went nuts. We didn't have anywhere near enough time to cover everything, and tonight you're joining us to discuss. Over to you.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's a pleasure, and I am ready to be part of your show.
Let's go. Well, you're here to discuss a very complicated web that is shrouded in secrecy to some degree, but there are links. So it's Epstein, the Clinton lost children, and the Finders cult.
Right.
Okay.
Listen, we're going to be really honest here, because children have been used and abused for a very long time. My career as a private investigator started a long time ago. And the first 2 years, I did nothing but child abuse cases and sexual abuse cases of children, physical and sexual abuse of children. And it was very difficult. And I had to learn a language, how to speak to kids. And as a criminal investigator, you can just imagine what that was all about. I realized that kids are being used in so many ways, and I don't understand why, but I do now, because they are used for experiments. They're used like guinea pigs, just like the Montauk. I don't know if you know about the Montauk projects of Long Island, New York, where the Montauk boys were taken literally off the streets to be used as assassins of the future, Manchurian candidates of the future, and different stages of their lives for different reasons, coup d'etats, anyways. And I realized that the situation with Jeffrey Epstein is very new in comparison to what's been happening for decades. In fact, the whole decade of 1980s, which started with the Finders in actually even before that was a Mike Morton case, 1984, where there were tunnels under the school, Mike Morton, in Manhattan Beach, California, where the kids allegedly, and I say allegedly because even though it went to courts for 5-6 years, it was the longest court criminal investigations, 360 children were allegedly abused, sexually, and taken over across the United States to the elites. There were lots of pictures of them by PDF. Also, it was the most expensive trial. Lots of people got interviewed. No one got convicted, which is amazing. I mean, over 360 children were interviewed, but the only ones that were accepted for this trial were a dozen. And they explained, and it's hard for me to actually really go into details of that, as you can imagine, but these children were sexually abused. And my very good friend, Ted Gunderson, who has passed away, who was a FBI agent and director, when he took this case, actually the parents, many of the parents hired him. And he went to the tunnels. They found tons of things there. When he took the evidence to his supervisors at the time, they said, drop it or you will be fired. He didn't drop it. This was back in the mid-80s. From there, it went to the Finders. Ted Gunderson was again involved. Ted and I, we worked on several cases together of child abduction cases. And he got killed for what he knew. He was also involved with the Franklin cover-up. Maybe some of your listeners know about these cases, but let me just kind of tell you about the Finders. finders are interesting because 6 children were in a park in Tallahassee, Florida, and 2 very well-dressed men were in a van with these kids, and these kids were not taken care of. They had bug bites, they were hungry, they had dirt all over them, they looked like they were very much neglected. And a woman saw it, she reported it to law enforcement. They came and interviewed these 2 men. It's like, who are these kids? These kids, when actually they further investigated, they found out Marion Petit was the founder of the Finders, 20 years in the military and intelligence. His wife was 21 years in CIA. And it was kind of, they were saying, some people were saying it was a cult because
and
they
the
actually
CIA, it always comes up in these stories time and time again.
Right. Well, this one definitely did, but not right away. Because when they interviewed these kids, they were like zombie-like. They didn't speak. They were not verbal. In fact, a 2-year-old swallowed literally 9 bananas at once. He was so hungry. So obviously, when they investigated further, they found out that these guys, there were 20 adults, 7 kids at the time. And one of the kids that spoke said, we have never been inside a house. They were trained to be only outside the whole time. And these 20 adults raised them, abused them. This is allegedly against abused them sexually, physically, and they played games with them. They were in chains. It's just unbelievable. But when the Customs and the FBI actually investigated, Department of Justice investigated, they found these computers with lots of documents that led to the involvement of the CIA, transporting them across state lines. When they actually investigated further, they said, actually, because these were the kids of the Finders' parents, they were not taken over the, there was a lot of controversies whether they were taken over the state lines or the parents actually allowed them.
Right.
However, when the CIA,
are there any statements from families at the time saying our child went missing?
Yeah.
Or
they said that their children were not abused, that they had allowed this whole thing to happen. They wanted to raise these children differently in a new types of generation. Homeschooling, which is great, but this was not about that. CIA ordered the whole case to be dropped and put away. It wasn't until 1990s where the case was reopened to find out what really was the involvement of the CIA. CIA denied everything, no involvement. But the case has been going on, and more people are interested in the Finders. And I find it fascinating. Why would the CIA be involved in human transportation of children?
Do you think it was a blackmail ring, or do you think it could have been a kind of MK Ultra hub as such?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. That's where it gets connected more and more to other children. It's very interesting that in the whole 80s, in 1987, in Omaha, Nebraska, this whole thing about the Franklin cover-up came up with Lawrence King, Larry King, basically, and it was like money laundering situation, and then he was connected to again taking children across United States and having them used for the elite. As I don't know if I can say prostitutions or not, but they were being used in so many different ways. Interestingly enough, he did go to prison for I think a decade but not for this reason.
Right.
He went for money laundering situation and tax evasions and so forth. What I find interesting is when Jeffrey Epstein came to the picture, it was just a continuation of the same thing.
Mm.
Children being used for the elite, for the pleasure and experiments, different mind control experiments.
Because this comes up as well a lot, Monique, when there's, you know, like, for example, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There's still so much mystery around who did it. And a lot of people think it could be an intelligence agency, or it could, you know, and that there's always these, the people that tend to commit these crimes, there are patterns to them. And, you know, people like Candace Owens have very much kind of, I believe, hinted towards them being potentially CIA or MK Ultra victims. Because, and it all seems as well, wherever the CIA's name comes up, everything is very, it's
hush,
very,
hush.
it's very hard to see the full picture, but that's exactly how they intend it to be, isn't it? You
Right.
know,
What's really interesting about Charlie Kirk, what I found interesting for one person who how could he possibly, with one bullet, for that distance, kill Charlie Kirk exactly where he meant it to be? I believe that there was other people behind it, which I don't want to assume because I'm not the investigator on this case, but I am sure when the case will come up sooner or later, they'll find out there are organizations that are grooming and radicalizing these kids, maybe transgenders or not, but they're violent and aggressive. And so far, they have killed those 3 children at the church. And then there is this going on. And they can't possibly be one person behind it. There has to be a group, and it's paid for. And this kid had to know exactly what to do with the gun, how to take it apart, or it's very, very difficult. But I can bet you anything, these kids are not normal. They're radicalized, they're under mind control, MK Ultra, and something is behind it much bigger than we think.
Can you explain to the viewers as well, and me, because it's something that I always am fascinated about. When people say they're under mind control, what does that mean? What does that look like? Who is doing that? You know, is because I would say that actually the world is under MK Ultra via mainstream media.
Mass amnesia, it seems like it's going on. Well, I tell you this, Army and intelligence community is very involved with satanic cults. In fact, the finders was, it came out that it was under the future, and I wrote this down, which I can tell you, it was actually connected to a satanic panic of the 80s, and it's called a future enterprise. And that was found on this document that I found on the CIA on their computer. What is the future enterprise? What I find fascinating is Michael Aquino. If you know Michael Aquino, was a general in the army of the cult, the Seth cult, satanic cult. He was, and his wife was Lilith. He went, he brought the satanic cult culture into the army. And under Michael Aquino, my friend Ted Gunderson interviewed Peter Chernev, introduced him to me. Peter, for the first 16 years of his life, had assassinated or killed little babies under this satanic cult and didn't even remember, under mind control, under MK Ultra, didn't even remember. He finally ended up.
When we say you know, they're under mind control, does that mean that someone is taken against their will by an intelligence agency and kind of placed in a house, or how does it work?
Yeah, well, to finish that, Peter Chernev went to jail and fasted for 40 days, and all his memories came back. When his memories came back of killing children and babies,
Unaliving.
yes, unaliving, he could not stop talking. He actually broke into one of my meetings talking. He talks because now you can't shut him up, because he wants to bring awareness about what's going on in the world. There are this what fake or memories is the fake memories that they plant inside your head to think that this is you, this is your memories, this is your life. But it's not true. And being under mind control, here's what it is. I actually interviewed Stuart Swerdlow, who was one of these kids in Montauk Projects in Long Island, New York. And Montauk Project was just like Area 51 in Nevada. These kids were sexually abused, and that's how the mind control was created for them, by being physically and sexually abused so much that their brain breaks down, the personality breaks down, and they become assassins or whatever is needed.
We'll say essayed just because of YouTube guidelines, but
Which one for what word?
for, I can't say it, can I?
Okay.
Yeah. So these children, by the sounds of it, across all of these cases, they are utterly, and it's not my words, but they are disposable assets to help move forward a certain agenda. And they are very disposable by intelligence agencies if you look at the patterns.
Absolutely. Because there are so much use for them. It's not just to be SA. Also because once they have no use for them, once they are sold, because there are lots of these children, they found out that they were actually sold to the elite. This is unbelievable, but it's true. And parents sell their own children. I know for a fact, because I think I've talked about it in the other show with you, where I worked a case, satanic cult, where the parents sold their own daughter to the satanic cult, and she was assaulted by the entire cult and broke her personality into like 36 personalities. Once they have no more use for them, they use their organs, they use their eyes, just like the Nazis did during World War II. Under what was his name? I forgot his name. Funny. Joseph Mengele. Joseph Mengele, who during the World War II, actually, you might remember who that is, who created this whole MK Ultra, which the name later changed to Monarch. It keeps changing. I actually know of some people who came to me who wanted to be on my show many years ago, who they said they remember their memories. The memories have come back of crimes they have committed. They want to kill themselves.
I mean, I think as well, it's really hard as well, because all of these children that have been victims of this transportation and SA across, Epstein and the Finders and other cults like this, and children that have been used potentially by intelligence agencies because of the framework of how they have been SA'd and how they have been groomed and used. when they come out, and try and share their truth, I think there's a perception at times that the media, well, a lot of the time in media actually, that people are made, the whistleblowers are always made to seem like they're mad. And it actually, when you look into MK Ultra, this is exactly what they wanted, because it is bulletproof in some ways. But I would say as well, it was created in a time that is very different from now. And I think, we've seen Candice Owens, but she's been so vocal about, a lot of these things. And we were never meant to have this much information, but we were also never meant to talk and share information and be critical thinkers. Because if you stay inside the kind of track of how your news is fed to you, it is largely propaganda. And so now people are going, I don't think so. I'm a critical thinker. I'm going down the rabbit hole. And then we're able to start to piece things together. So how does this impact these transportation rings and these blackmail rings?
Well, I agree and disagree with you, because even though people have woken up, and I've been awake because of my work for like over 20 years that I've been an investigator doing this type of cases. And I've seen with my own eyes live what's going on with the kids and what's going on around the world. You and I and people like us, we have been awakened to that, just like Candace. However, I also believe that freedom of speech have been taken away from us more and more, putting a lid on it. Just like my show got canceled because of the people that I have interviewed, and I was a whistleblower. When you are a whistleblower, your life is in danger, just like Charlie Kirk, just like I would say Candace has to be careful. A lot of influencers are careful of what they say and what they do. And people ask me, how do you stay alive? Because I'm out there. I'm out there. You're out there. People see. They can't shut us all up. But people they want to know the truth. They want to go down the rabbit hole. But, just like I believe that Jeffrey Epstein is not dead. I actually think that he's still alive. Someone with that much power, even though some people might want to shut him up to, for their benefit, just like, I don't believe Virginia Jeffrey killed herself. I think that she got killed. There's no evidence that she committed suicide.
No.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe she did it herself. Not at all. Not at all. I think she was an incredibly brave woman that, like, we wouldn't know what we know. And she was a trailblazer in what she did. And that was a massive threat to those in power. I mean, what is it, Monique, that, when it comes to the elites, do they have an incredibly awful PDF problem, or are they, like, what is it? Because constantly, like, if we look at Annette Lucas's story, there are so many people that have come out and just said how their childhoods have been snatched from them in these awful transportation rings, and how they've been used by, intelligence or politicians and elites. What
the
is
way
it?
it goes. Well, Peter Chernoff told me that because he spoke several languages, including German, he was used as a little boy he was sexually assaulted as a boy among the elites. So he can hear conversation of the elites like a little spy. But people believe that the children are innocent and they are there for SA, but nothing else. But actually, the other people who are spying, they are using them as a double agent per se. So that's how he was used among the elites. And also, children are so innocent that they are so disposable. But among all these events that are happening,
Yeah.
I mean, children are disposable. In fact, just like the case that I did back in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where the 2-year-old Jao was sold to a family in Israel through this Venezuelan adoption companies. There are tons of them around. And basically, the kids that are very beautiful and very young, they can be used that way. And they're disposed of them if, there's no more use for them. So like I said, when the SA, these kids, they break down. When they break down, fake memories can be implanted in their mind, in their brain, as to what they are, who they are. And what I was going to say, which I got off track, in Montauk Project, Stuart Swerdlow actually became one of the brokers. He was a child who was abused. Then he became a teenager who abused others terribly. And then he came out explaining how he did it and why they did it. In fact, the movie on Netflix, Stranger Things, is based on Montauk Project.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And you
how
watch it so differently when you know that as well. It becomes chilling.
In fact, the name was supposed to be Montauk, but they changed it because of all this, restrictions in Hollywood. They changed it to Stranger Things. But 11, the girl, is one of the Montauk girls. Anyways.
So do you think the Finders Cult, the Clintons lost kids, Epstein, do you think these rings interlink and almost work together? Or do you think they are kind of all separate, potentially set up by intelligence as individual projects?
Actually, I believe they're not individual projects. I think that it's almost like they changed names. It went from the Finders closed case in the 80s to, for example, McMartin or something else, or Franklin cover-up. The Franklin, these kids that were taken across United States, just like McMartin, what's the link? One of them is 1984, the other one is 1987, the other one is 1985. They are so close. In fact, the 80s was called the Satanic Panic.
12,000 children they interviewed, didn't they? I'm sure. And the whole thing, like, it's a prime example of nothing to see here, move along. But there's so much to see. And I think that's the difference now. We won't move along,
Well, we don't move along. Just like people really want to know what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein. And the fact is, Jeffrey Epstein's, which I have actually walked in front of his house or his place in Manhattan many years ago. He just wanted, he through Maxwell, they lured kids that wanted to be dancers or actors or models. They brought him in and to massage him. And once they lost their
once they were traumatized,
then they used them as brokers to lure other kids. Oh yeah, you can do it too. You make a lot of money. And the kid said, all I did as a broker, I would just be swimming in the swimming pool or sit in the living room watching TV while she brought another girl. And she says, I didn't care what they did behind closed doors. My job was done. I got paid. And I got paid. And I got paid. And they become brokers. And I believe that Virginia, Jeffrey, was one of those kids.
It makes me think that Kanye West has potentially been in a situation like this with intelligence, not on the PDF side, but it looks to me like he has been
Whistleblower.
deeply traumatized. And whenever he, like, obviously, I'm not insinuating anything relating to PDF or anything, but what I am saying is that Kanye was fine. And then he almost started to speak off the script. And then there are kind of key quotes from him saying, you know, they traumatize and monetize in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he's spoken about CIA assets. And then you've got the Harley Pasternak, his former personal trainer who used to work in intelligence. He was there when he got sectioned. It's all very strange. And so you kind of, as a member of the public, you get these little bits popping up. But then remember that game? It was called Hungry Hippos. And when the hippo would do that, you'd whack it and it would go straight down. Like, you know, it's almost like in the real world, these kind of whistleblowers come up and they're just trying to keep them all quiet. But actually, I don't think, like, something is going to have to change, because if this is the way that intelligence agencies are allegedly operating, this is shocking. And we are paying for it all around the world as well.
Another thing, the kids are being used more like teenagers, a little bit older. I think that they're a little bored. Honestly, I think they're just bored. They want to know how it feels to unalive others. They want to know how it feels like hunt other people. So a lot of kids are used for that reason. And I know that for a fact because, again, I personally know two people who were under mind control and they were used as hunted by, I'm not going to say whom, and they witnessed someone named Tabitha getting eaten alive. Can I say that? Okay, I just did. Anyways.
So this is the hunting parties.
Yes, hunting parties. And they were tied up on a chair where this kid, Tabitha, was being eaten and stabbed and so forth. Believe me, Hollywood, I don't know, have you heard of, there's a restaurant, they eat meat, raw meat. I've seen it, I forgot what it's called. Cannibals, it's a cannibalistic type of Hollywood restaurant. Have you heard of it?
No, but nothing in Hollywood surprises me. It's an incredible.
We'll talk about it next time. I have to do some research.
The energy there is very, very
dark.
Strange. Yeah.
I would be surprised if California altogether doesn't just disappear. It's in such a bad shape. Not just because of Gavin Newsom and all these things going on, but just basically it's so dark, it's so corrupted. And I lived over 30 years in San Diego, and I worked in Los Angeles, and I'm licensed from San Diego. I know every time I had a case in Los Angeles, it's like, let me hire somebody else to do it because I really just don't want to be in Hollywood. It's really bad. And also I was, back in my 20s, I was involved with, doing some extra work and here and there. And then I got involved with Motown. I got involved with Motown, believe it or not. And that's a different story. But they threatened my life. They threatened my life. Very strange.
How so?
Oh, well, I was a modeling agent who got into, I was the manager for Marvin Gaye background singers back in the 80s. And so I brought some of my models to be in this TV, MTV kind of show, right? And hold on one second. So when I started, okay, so this company who was getting these kids involved in this show was, one second. I just got distracted by something. So they actually threatened that they would kill me if I didn't do certain things. And they told me that they've done it before to somebody else.
Is this Motown's team or?
It was the executive producer for the Marvin Gaye background singers involved with the Motown. And the front business was an exchange, foreign exchange student program, an international program, which was a fake situation. Yeah. It was very, very, very corrupted. It was on Wilshire. And these people were mafia from New York and Russian mafia connected with these people. Oh my God, I can tell you, I got out of it quickly.
Yeah.
And I moved, and I just moved out of Los Angeles. I did not want to be involved with show business of any kind after that. And this is a very long time ago.
Did you see a lot when you were a modeling agent? It was modeling agency you were doing as well as the singers. Did you see a lot of opportunities be presented to the models for transportation?
At the time, I was still very young. I was a very young modeling agent. And I know I can tell you that models were willing to do anything for me. I mean, that I didn't ask. I mean, they would, what do I need to do to get this? I said, nothing. Yeah, but this person told me that I have to do A, B, and C. I said, no, you just have to take pictures and go where I'm telling you to go. But I got out of the modeling world also after about a year and a half. And then I got involved with the show business, which is music industry. Music industry is one of the most corrupted, as you probably know. And I can tell you,
I think as well, it's so everything people see in public is so different to the reality. It really is a stage. Right. And everything is highly curated and kind of scripted. And that can sound conspiratorial sometimes. But what I mean by that is celebrities or famous people, they're only telling you what they want you to know. And you often see, like, I remember when Britney Spears used to be managed by a man called Larry Rudolph. And he was, you know, he managed her and he was brilliant because you never saw Britney unless it was how he wanted you to see Britney. And then I remember she parted ways with Larry Rudolph. And all of a sudden, you're like, everyone thought, I think at the time, it was that she'd met Kevin Federline and he led her astray. But I remember thinking, no, I don't think that. I just think Larry Rudolph was so good at controlling the narrative that we only saw what he wanted us to see. And, you know, it's like, obviously they're not putting on a mask and pretending to be someone else, but the version of them you're seeing is a caricature in many ways. It is not real.
She was one of the people beside Lady Gaga that I saw. She went from one thing to another. I mean, she went from this beautiful singer to one that was almost literally under mind control on stage. She was so lost, and she started gaining weight. And have you noticed that you don't see a lot of people as if they have disappeared? Many people in show business have disappeared. I don't see them at all. Lady Gaga is absolutely the worst. She's not even the same person. She went from one face to another face altogether. Very much connected to.
Kay Grace has just made a great comment. Kay Grace has said, Britney is under MK Ultra. Her mind has been split. I mean, I would not dispute that. I think it's so sad as well when you see this, because really, in many ways, I would say Brittany was transported as a child. I think, she might have said, yes, I want to do this as a career.
So
But
bad. Right.
if my daughter said, I want to do this, I'd say, when you're 18, if you still want to do it, we'll sit
Right.
down and make a plan. But, and everything about it as well was actually with Brittany. I think she was 15 when Baby Hit Me Baby One More Time came out. And she was
Right.
appealing to that PDF market, wasn't she, as a young schoolgirl, overly sexualized.
Right.
So it kind of screams MK Ultra
I
and
forgot the name of that child that she was wearing makeup. I don't know if you remember that one. It was a long time ago. It was the beginning of people waking up to children wearing makeup in films and commercials and modeling.
is it
Well,
Katie O'Sullivan has said, is it John Bonet? Bonet?
yes,
John
thank
Bonet,
you.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of
John
the
Bonet
first,
Ramsey.
one of the beginning of people really waking up to the fact that kids are missing, they're abducted, they are abused by, okay, so parents are mainly the reason how these kids find their ways in not only show business, but also being sold to this cult, elite cult. I mean, you have to wonder, how did these kids come out of nowhere and end up in Jeffrey Epstein's house? And all of a sudden, from Jeffrey Epstein's house to the other people's house, all the elites like Prince Andrew and other people that we won't name.
So because obviously the children are lured and groomed, but that is facilitated by the parents. So then are the parents groomed by potentially an intelligence agency?
Many times, intelligence agencies that you're talking about, I would say definitely the CIA and the Army are perfect place for these parents of these kids to promote and groom the children, and then they're sold. Just like Eyes Wide. Have you seen Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise? And yeah,
Yeah.
that is literally based on true stories.
Yeah.
That is not a movie. It's like wake up, people. Wake up
Yeah.
and really see what's really going on. It's crazy
And there's
right now.
also, do you know as well, like all of these cases that we're talking about, they are same case but different times and different names, like you say. And there's someone in the comments has just mentioned it. I can't remember who did. Sorry about that. But there's a whistleblower called Ali Carter, and I would say people are kind of split. Some people think she is a truth teller, and some people think, she's struggling with her mental health, perhaps. But when I listen to her, I don't think you can fake that trauma. Do you know what I mean? Like how she talks about being transported and what she's been through. I just
Right.
don't know how. And some of the things she says, she's made allegations about Joe Biden, and I guess it, completely. Someone said her mum called her out, but I don't know if she is a fraud. I don't know, but it would be telling that someone that comes out and whistleblows is then we're talking about them and going, are they mad? Because that's exactly what the intelligence agencies want.
Yeah, but they want you to think that they are mad. These are courageous people. I mean, granted that some people want fame and notoriety, but these are not the ones. They are coming forward because of Me Too movement, right? And the fact is, when you say this split, you're saying that her mind is split, or she's split to see if she should come forward or not.
So she has alters, and Louis Lies said, Ali Carter is running for her life. All these that turn up unalived, you know they're telling the truth. Yeah, and I've watched a lot of Ali Carter's things, and
Right.
what makes me think Ali Carter is legit is you don't see her asking for buy me a coffee, here's my Patreon, here's a
Right.
t-shirt to buy. She's not asking for anything. All she's driven by is actually speaking her truth. And that's what I think is really interesting, because she's not monetizing it. And so
Right.
if someone thought she was fake, I would say, well, fake people would normally be very opportunistic with cashing in on that. And she
Right.
hasn't earned a dime.
Honestly, I don't know much about her, but I can tell you that it's not the first time that I hear this. And like, I mean, think about Kathy O'Brien, who's now
Yeah.
so old, but she came forward regardless of the fact that she could at any second be unalive, and she was safe. And again, Ted Gunderson, my friend, worked on that case and with her. And these people are, to me, they put their life in front line, and they know that they could be taken care of at any minute. But I definitely would say that she's telling the truth. Why would she come forward to this extent and put her life in danger?
Yeah. And do you think people like Hillary Clinton, I mean, obviously we know the rabbit hole is deep, and Shaun has written books on this that are fantastic, but do you think, I know in the public we're like, come on, we want to see her in handcuffs. We want, the truth to come out. It's not going to happen, is it?
I don't know if you really want to talk about her on the show, because what I was telling you about those kids in the hunting, um, they were
Party.
hunted. They were hunted. The whole thing was involving the Clinton family, and that was basically why my show was canceled, because of that name. It's so you can't even talk about her. You're talking who you're talking about.
Well, we might flag up on a CIA spreadsheet, so let's give them a wave.
I would definitely keep away from her and the
Yeah.
whole conversation. Really,
Wow.
I know for a fact that the whole foundation is the criminal foundation is the most dangerous of all.
Allegedly.
No.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's so scary, and I think there seems no end in sight for this, because it seems to be
It just changes names.
It changes names, and it's also a blackmail pipeline almost.
That's right. I honestly, when I think about it, I wonder how anyone is still alive in the administration. I'm afraid. My intuition was so strong when on the day Charlie Kirk died, and then got shot, and then the couple of nights ago, when everybody was there for his memorial, I thought, oh my God, please let the security be tight, because it seems to have a list. There seems to be a list going on, starting with Charlie Kirk. I hope I'm wrong.
It makes me really worry for people like Candice Owens, because
yes, you wonder why she still have her show.
Yeah. She's very outspoken, and she
and very
does ruffle
aggressive.
feathers.
She's very aggressive about her opinions and the way she talks, and even Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly is very aggressive about her beliefs, and her show is She just says it as she
Megyn
sees it.
Kelly, I'd say Candice is much more forthright. But it's interesting because all of these, you know, Charlie Kirk, and then, I mean, it's just such a tragic loss. But then when you question if our intelligence agencies are capable, hypothetically, of running these blackmail operations that could involve transportation and potentially children, then they are, I would argue, capable of doing anything, you know, because that is the very worst crime against it that you could possibly do. It's horrific.
Oh, it is dark. What happened with Charlie Kirk is not what it seems to be. It's much darker than people think. And the truth is going to come out. And people are wondering why Kash Patel is not coming forward and why Pam Bundy is not arresting people already. And we're all waiting, but it's taking too long, to be honest with you. I cannot believe that one kid, all of a sudden he's texting his lover, blah, 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 blah. Was it you? This is all made up. This is all a show. Why can't we know the truth? Why? Because the people behind the scene are not kids. These are just like the Montauk boys being used and abused under mind control, doing the job that has been prepared a long time ago. These guys have been groomed for many years. And then now they go forward and do these assassinations. You know what I mean?
Do you think there is one leading agency, or do you think it could be a case where numerous agencies are working together across different kind of countries?
Well,
or we won't say the one you think it is, and then we'll all
know. Exactly.
Yeah.
I definitely think the Americans and British and Israel all involved. In fact, I would say that Israel is definitely involved.
Do you think, well, I have a theory that the temple, as such, on one of Epstein's islands, I think MK Ultra was being run from there. Do you think that could have been the case?
I think that it's too small of an operation if it's only for SA of young adults. It's nothing. People, I mean, it is everything, but it's also this whole operation of selling kids across borders of the United States and other countries. It's not just about SA of children. It's much more. They are being used just like rats for many experiments and transhumanism. I do believe that. I don't know if you know about the Dulce base in Archuleta Mountains of New Mexico. Have you heard of Dulce base?
Near where his ranch was.
Who's?
Jeffrey had a ranch in Mexico.
No. This is New Mexico. Dulce base is 6 floors down into the tunnels where they were doing a lot of experiments involving children and aliens. And it was alien human hybrid transhumanism. And the last floor down, which you had to take the elevator all the way down to the tunnel, was it's called Nightmare Hall. And a couple of people got killed. I mean, we can talk about that next time when I'm more prepared. Yeah, but it's Dulce base, this underground military bases. Many things are happening in this it's called DUMB, deep underground military bases. That's one of them.
There are whistleblowers as well that have worked for intelligence agencies that have come out and said this.
But how many of them are alive?
Well, I'm sure that a few of them will probably be found, you know, with a phone around their neck hanging from a tree
Right.
in the middle of a field, because that seems to happen. And the thing is, I always say to people, keep a notepad and look at what's in the mainstream press and write it down. And, you know, like, I don't know, let's say school shootings would be the area you wanted to focus on. Look at the patterns. The patterns tell you what you need to know. But the news
Yeah.
agenda moves so fast. And so it's like you just forget because you're kind of indoctrinated into this brainwashing.
I mean, look at the guy, what was his name? In North Carolina, who just out of the blue killed the girl from Ukraine.
Yeah.
What? How on earth? She's sitting there minding her own business. Next thing she realizes, she's stabbed in the neck. And then look at the people around. They're doing nothing.
Mm.
In fact, they walk away instead of helping her. Had they just put something around her neck, she might have survived. But you have to look at this guy and say, are you crazy, or are you a zombie? Are you under mind control? What's going on? What about the girl slash boy who killed those 3 children in the church?
Awful.
And other kids try to support and protect the other kids. It's just unbelievable. This is not normal. I've never seen this chaos
Why do you
involving
think
children.
the trans, you know, why do you think more often than not it presents as someone who says that they're trans?
Because they are sensitive. First of all, they're very sensitive. And plus, they take certain type of drugs. I mean, I have to say, they take these medications in order to transform, right, from one gender to another. And it affects them. And not to mention, you have to wonder. They also, it's almost like a trend going on, and people behind the scene, whether it is the elites or CIA or other type of intelligence agencies, know that. Or Soros, for example, George Soros, they have a lot of money. They know this type of people are very sensitive, and they use them. They use them, and they radicalize them. And this is the new trend, believe me. They don't even need to be under mind control. All they have to be is belief. They have to
Yeah.
believe that the others are enemies, we're normal, they don't accept us.
It worries me that in the UK we will start to get things, you know, obviously in America it's very different with access to guns, but you know, over here I think it's a matter of time before we start seeing those lone wolf kind of.
Right. You know, it's a catch-22. Damn if you have it, damn if you don't. If you don't have a gun, you definitely have less school shootings, church shootings. And I've studied because my master's is in exact the subject of forensics, and I specialize in behavioral sciences, criminal minds, why people kill, why people shoot, mass murders or spree killers or serial killers. And that was what I specialized in. And, and you have to wonder, if there were no guns, there will be less shootings, obviously. But then if you don't have access to guns, the government has access to guns, and you are outnumbered. What, you're gonna lift your knife in comparison to the gun they're using? So
Yeah.
that's the argument in the United States. And they're saying, well, if we have school shootings, they're going to blame it on the gun, and they're going to try to take the guns away from people,
Yeah.
and then they can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
It's always this catch-22. My personal belief, I had a gun. I sold it when I moved to Spain. I don't have a gun now, but if at some point, I may have to get another, only because when you live in the United States, you kind of don't want to be without one.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Of
Yeah.
course. And where, Monique, where can people read more of your stories? Because your experience is phenomenal. And you've told me cases on camera, off camera, and they really are chilling. A lot of them. There are some that have had incredible endings, and there are some that haven't. But you've got one book out already and another coming, haven't you?
Well, yes, I just finished my second book, which is now being printed with Amazon, with my publisher now. And, you know, just so, and that's Children of the Underworld. It's part of the trilogy. It's book 2 called Shahrazad, the Guardian of the Truth, Shahrazad being me. And the whole system, I'm a true crime novelist. So I take many true stories and I combine them because I believe my purpose in life is to bring awareness and the truth through my books and my shows and so forth. But mainly, in order not to get sued, I made it into a novel.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Da Vinci Code. And I got the idea from Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, which is my books are very fast paced. They get read very quickly. But they're based on true stories with more adventure, more. My second book is almost, I put some spirituality in there. A little bit different than the first one. And you can purchase them on Amazon, Children of the Underworld.
So if people write your name, Monique Lassan, into Amazon, it will come up and they can purchase it.
Yes.
Amazing. And will you come back, Monique, and discuss more with us? Because speaking to you is so fascinating. I think your experience from forensics to being an investigator and also your real life experience gives us such a great insight into this world that, you know, whenever we challenge it as people, we seem to be, you know, painted as conspiracy theorists in certain circles. But actually, you know, you've seen these things with your eyes and you've worked on these cases and you have spoken to FBI agents yourself. So it's just incredible actually hearing it from you.
I worked with the Homeland Security and the FBI. And one of the countries that I'm now completely staying away from is Mexico. I've done many Mexican cases in the past, and I found them to be, to me, the most dangerous country to work against, you could say, as many kids get abducted from El Paso to Mexico or Tijuana to Mexico, and I just do not take cases anymore.
It's not safe for you, no.
No, it's not safe. It's not. They're extremely dangerous, and I care about my family and so forth. Yeah, so I do not take those cases anymore, and I can tell you stories of.
Well, maybe we should do a cartel special next time.
Oh my God.
Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you would like a cartel special with Monique next time. I'm just waiting for them to come through. Well, Monique, thank you so much for your time. And guys, you know where to, I'm seeing lots of 1s now. You know where to, Helena G's put 1. Awesome. Yeah. So I think I'm going to make a note of that so I don't forget it. A cartel special. So you know where to get Monique's book, and you can follow me on my new YouTube at Lauren the Insider. So thank you for your time, and thank you so much, guys, everyone that's watched.
It's always nice to be with you, Lauren.
Oh, thank you, and thanks, guys. See you later.